So hello and welcome back to the Unforced Error. We're here this evening to recap day 5 and 6, round 3 in its entirety, but halfway through the Grand Slam now, looking ahead to the second week, round 4. It's getting serious now. There's been more upsets and there's been more seeds getting through and seeds getting knocked out, so it's all happening. So like the last few times, we'll have a quick recap of the past 2 days, and we'll look ahead. Sabalenka made light work of Serenko on day 5. Tsitsipas got past the Frenchman Van Asch with relative ease. Novak beat Echeverry fairly handy. I thought Echeverry might get a set off him, but he didn't. Echeverry, I suppose, beats people who around his level that he shouldn't beat, and if you're having a tough day, he'll beat you. But Novak seems to have his number. Barbara Krejcikova beat Storm Hunter in a great game. She showed patience and read the game very well, and she's making. She's had a rough kind of second half of last year, but she'd have been right up there in 2022. So be interesting to see how far she goes. Crowd loves Storm Hunter, and it was tough for her to Krejcikova to weather that storm, but showed hitting the ball well timing wise, and again is used to those kind of hostile environments where people are against her. She has big match experience and stuff like that, so from the doubles and the singles. So yeah, be interested. She plays the teenager Mira Andreeva next, which would be interesting. Timofeeva, another qualifier beat Haddad Maya, another young tennis player that's kind of having a great run here in Melbourne. Haddad Maya be disappointed, didn't play that poorly. I think Timofeeva played very, very well. Again, not scared of the big stage, has nothing to lose, and knocked out another big seed. There's been a lot of talk about, the seeds finding it hard, through those early rounds when, it just shows the quality of the tour that more and more qualifiers are kind of higher ranked players are feeling the pressure, because when someone comes in all guns blazing, people talk about taking risks that they usually wouldn't because they know they're up against it. And yeah, so a lot of the top seeds in the women's side of the draw especially are out. Anisimova beat Badosa. She took a break from tennis last year. She's American, she's 22 years old, very strong player, big hitter. I was struggling at the end of the first set, but seemed to weather that storm. And Badosa has had a good comeback. I think she'd be happy with getting a few games under her belt there. Anisimova, just very interesting. She's going into the second week now, like everyone else. She's been in the second week before, but it just shows you the attention now on the players that are left does increase a bit, and the questions, especially in the press conferences, do get that a little bit harder. She took time away, wasn't enjoying the sport a whole lot, so it's great to see someone who's kind of maybe fallen out of love come back in love with the sport and seems to be playing very, very well. She'll play Sabalenka next. But even in the press conference, she's been asked a bit more about her break, and I guess those questions are there's tough answers to those questions, and you seem to be asked more and more of them as the week goes on. There's less players, there's more journalists at every press conference, and I was just kind of struck by that in her press conference. There's some very tough questions being asked, but great to see her, and for a 22-year-old. I know she's been around the game a while. Very, very impressive. Mira Andreeva, the young Russian sensation, had a great comeback against Danielle Parry after beating Ons Jabeur in the second round. So having a great tournament. Seems to be taking everything in her stride, and but again, the attention of the world is on her, and I think, as I said, she plays Barbara Krejcikova now, so that'll be a great game. But she's playing very, very well, and it was quite a comeback. She was down a lot in the third set as well to come back. So hats off to her. See how far she can go. She's at the same side of the draw now as Krejcikova, but Sabalenka and Anisimova, so that side of the draw is still very stacked. Then Manarino bet Ben Shelton in a kind of long drawn out game. Manarino is quite, not old fashioned, but very kind of down to earth. He doesn't have any sponsors. He just plays what's in front of him and kind of plays the same the whole time. But he'll take you when you're not on your day, and he's tough out. He was talking about, he was asked in the press conference about practicing against the lefty beforehand or whatever, and he called that, he had quite a strong response to that. He said, I just play anyone, I don't think it matters too much, so sometimes you can get lost in the kind of technical aspects, but sometimes you just have to play tennis of what's in front of you. Day 6 then, last night for us, depending on where you are, the 12th seed Zheng, who's one of the top seeds still left in the tournament, beat her compatriot Wang. Zheng's had the most aces in the tournament so far, but she's also had the most double faults. So just something to watch out for going forward. Zverev beat the young American Mickelson. A lot of people saying he's got a bright future Zverev, so great for Zverev to get a relatively, I think it was 3 sets, and he wasn't up all night with it, because he's had a few long games. As Victoria Azarenka beat Ostapenko in straight sets, and because of the shocks that we'll talk about in a minute, that side of the draw has really opened up for Azarenka, and she knows the late stages of Melbourne very, very well, so I could watch out for her. She's enjoying it. She's found her rhythm early, and she's definitely going to be dangerous. Daniil Medvedev beat Auger Aliassime after his late night 2 days ago in round 2, and playing very well. Seems very comfortable in himself. Seems very happy in general. He always gives a good press conference. He seems at peace with himself, so I wonder, is that going to free him up in the later stages? He's still tough as nails, and he's always a great listen, but he's talked about even changes in his mindset in the last 6 weeks. He's kind of doing stuff outside of tennis to help his game a bit more, and it's great to see just someone in the spotlight but enjoying what they're doing. Cameron Norrie beat Casper Ruud. Norrie played very, very well and kind of got out ahead of Ruud and kept his foot on the gas. Ruud had a bit of a surge, but Norrie had the answers for him today. So, those have battled a lot and have had similar games in the past, but Norrie will be happy. Sloane Stephens is out to Kalniskaya. Borgs, the Portuguese player, beat Grigor Dimitrov, which is a bit of a surprise. Dimitrov's had a lot of games recently, but he's won a tournament not so long ago, so he was having a bit of a hot streak. And I think the biggest shock is Noskova beat Iga Swiatek, the world number 1, another teenager from the Czech Republic. Played very well. She got out to, they were playing very well at the start, but I thought Iga had broken her down, and I thought that was that. I left, I'll come back, and Noskova was serving for the last few games and ultimately won. So amazing for her, amazing. The Czech Republic keep bringing great players out. I say she's 19 years old. As I said, Iga's in her early 20s as well. But because she's world number 1 and we know all about her, that is a big shock. Iga's struggled in Melbourne the last 2 years, especially. A different press conference from her. It's always hard when you have to go into a room full of people asking you questions about a tough loss like that, and something that I was struck by. She was asked to kind of articulate how she's feeling. She talked about the stress of being world number 1 last year as one of the big factors, but she was asked, how are you feeling, and help us understand. And she smiled. She's a different perspective on things now. We said, why do you need to understand why I feel? Someone's come in, played a great game with nothing to lose, and they beat me, and that's it. And I'm disappointed. Talked a lot about the technical aspects that she wasn't happy with, but overall seems in a good place, and I'm sure she will have a great year nonetheless. But all credit to Noskova, who will go on into the tournament and is having the tournament of her life. So it's great to see another Czech player. Lovely timing on the ball, great movement, great understanding of the game. There's a good team behind her as well. So it'll be interesting to watch out how far she goes. Two games to watch then in the next round. They're both on tomorrow, tonight, or whatever way you want to put it. As Anisimova, as I said, against Sabalenka. That's a heavyweight clash there in terms of the big heavy hitters. And I think another heavyweight clash on the men's side, Taylor Fritz and Stefanos Tsitsipas. Anisimova, Sabalenka, Sabalenka really hasn't been tested so far, and they've had great games in the past. And there's a bit of a smirk by Anisimova in the press conferences, like she's kind of secretly, wants the big game and kind of knows what Sabalenka's about by the sounds of her. But last time she would have played Sabalenka was a different player then as well, where Sabalenka had her big year last year. Taylor Fritz, Stefanos Tsitsipas. I'm really interested in this game stylistically. Both are playing very well. Both have kind of at the same point in their career. Tsitsipas maybe a year or two ahead, but I just think both players probably have a Grand Slam in them if things go their way, if they get a good draw, if they can put it together over 2 weeks. Now, the winner of this plays Novak Djokovic. Provided Djokovic wins, and that's no disrespect to his opponent. So I wonder if that plays with them at all. So I was going to, discuss the importance of the win here for either of them, because they're deep in the tournament and other seeds have dropped. But when you're playing Djokovic next, it's going to be hard. Fritz, how does he win this game? They both have big serves, and I think it's going to be about the least mistakes. Fritz is one of the most break points in the tournament so far, but Tsitsipas isn't long behind him. So I just think stylistically, this will be a very interesting game, and it has the looks of at least a 4, if not a 5 setter there. So two great games. They're all great games now at this stage, and we turn our attention to week 2. So as I said, thanks for listening, and we'll be with you shortly, and we'll crack on with the tennis. Thanks a million.